There is a case pending before the Supreme Court called Fisher versus the United States, whose resolution will impact the criminal case pending against Trump in the D.C. Circuit Court that has now been stayed until the Supreme Court resolves the immunity issue. If the Republican justices want to protect Trump, they will read 18 USC section 1512(c) of the criminal code narrowly, and then dismiss the charge that Fisher violated that statute by interfering with the certification of the vote count on January 6. I have copied that criminal statute in the more section below. I would recommend reading the provision, which is short, now before listening to the rest of the video so that what I'm understanding will be more clear. A narrow reading which favors Trump alters the plain language of the statute by eliminating the words or and otherwise so that the pertinent part of the statute reads and obstructs, quote, and obstructs, influences, or impedes any official proceeding or attempts to do so, thus requiring that the obstruction of a proceeding involve a document rather than the statute as written, which says, quote, or otherwise obstructs, influences, or impedes any official proceeding or attempts to do so. Two of the four counts in the criminal case against Trump pending in the federal district court in the District of Columbia involve alleged violations of Section 18 United States Code Section 1512(c). More than 300 people who breached the Capitol on January 6 have been charged with obstructing an official proceeding. A proceeding is defined in another section of the Criminal Code, 18 USC Section 1515(a), 1, C, as including, quote, a proceeding before the Congress, end quote, which was what was actually happening on January 6, a proceeding before Congress. The assault on the nation's capital by Trump supporters was to prevent Congress from completing the final step necessary to confirm Biden as president on the day required by law, which was January 6. Fisher was a police officer when the Republicans attempted to prevent the certification of Biden's election as president on January 6. Before the Republican attack, and according to the indictment against Fisher, Fisher sent text messages that the Capitol needed to be stormed and all the Democrats dragged out of the Capitol for a mob trial. On January 6, while standing outside the Capitol East Rotunda door, Fisher yelled, "Charge!" entered the Capitol building, and then crashed into a police line with the mob knocking down a police officer who was trying to protect the Capitol from the mob. Fisher moved to dismiss the count of obstructing an official proceeding. U.S. District Court Judge Carl Nichols, a judge appointed by Trump, granted his request, determining that nothing in the indictment alleged that Fisher, quote, took some action with respect to a document, record, or other object, end quote, in order to obstruct the congressional proceedings. Out of the 15 district court judges who have had cases under that section involving the January 6 riot, Nichols is the only one who narrowed the statute to require some action with respect to a document in a proceeding. This reading that Nichols had changes the ordinary meaning of words to arrive at a conclusion that protects Trump from criminal prosecution under the statute. As I said, it deletes the word or and substitutes and in its place and eliminates the word otherwise, whose common ordinary meaning is in a different manner, not the same manner, which is the way Nichols was interpreted. Nichols has been The only judge out of the 15 and out of 15 judges in the D.C. District Court that has adopted this narrow reading of the statute. The Justice Department appealed his ruling to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit, which ruled against Fisher in a 2-1 decision, with the dissenter being a judge appointed by Trump, who read the statute in the same way as Nichols did. So if the Republican justices reinstate the Trump-appointed district court's dismissal of the charge under this section, it would require Jack Smith to dismiss 2 of the 4 counts against Trump. Then the stake in the heart of the prosecution in the insurrection case could be delivered by the Republican justices, creating an immunity in the Constitution, which isn't present there, for criminal actions undertaken by a president that are somehow arguably related to his Article II constitutional powers. The Fisher case is one of 4 that are now pending before the Supreme Court, where oral arguments have already taken place, that will just define how far to the right the Republican justices are.